This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore.
Conservatives, the right, Republicans, for as long as I can remember, demonized the other. They've demonized the poor. They've demonized any other religion other than Christianity. They've demonized immigrants. They've demonized black people. They demonize. They are the party of demonization. They are the party of stoking violence against others. We've witnessed an uptick in anti-Semitic attacks. We've witnessed an uptick in Asian attacks. We've witnessed an uptick in violence in general under the reign of Donald Trump. In the lead up to the 2016 campaign and all throughout his presidency, some at the hand of the government gassing peaceful protesters. They justify violence at the hands of police against unarmed black men. The right is the largest white supremacy organization on the planet. I will continue to say that. And when violence occurs in their name, when violence occurs at the hands of their adherents, they scramble to say, oh, how could this happen? Why could you possibly blame us? And they deflect. Because they know their followers are low information rubes, bootlicking sycophants who will follow whatever the party line is. And last night on Tucker Carlson's show, he did what is classic for Tucker Carlson, to play stupid. And it is an act. He is highly educated. He is an elite, heir to the Swanson frozen food fortune. And he played stupid. And he makes fun of it, the term stochastic terrorism, which I was going to play, I'll show it later, but the definition that he's acting like is a made-up word. This is meaningless. It's nothing. They're attacking our free speech now. We can't even ask questions. We can't even talk about what took place in San Francisco with the attack on the 80-year-old Paul Pelosi. Stochastic terrorism is defined as the public demonization of a group or group resulting in the incitement of violence, which is statistically probable, but whose specifics cannot be predicted. That's what it is. And when I play this clip from Tucker Carlson, we'll talk about it on the other side, and then we're going to give you the receipts for why what he has done is incitement of these maniacs. Here you go.
But in the wake of that, they're telling you, unfortunately, you can no longer have free speech. Well, you can't. They're telling you this is an example of stochastic terrorism, which is a completely meaningless phrase that emerged like a virus out of the university to infect our public discourse, or more precisely, to suppress our public discourse. Reuters has reported that, and we're quoting, terrorism and extremism experts believe it could be an example of the growing threat of so-called stochastic terrorism, in which sometimes unstable individuals are inspired to violence by hate speech. Okay. What is hate speech, by the way? All of a sudden, everyone in the media has, sort of without explaining why, agreed that there's this thing called hate speech that's real and probably actionable. They can find $1 billion judgment against you if you commit hate speech. But just to remind everyone watching, there's no such thing as hate speech. Hate speech is speech people hate, usually the people in power. The truth is, all speech, except speech that encourages people to imminent illegal action, like go shoot that guy. Short of that, there's no hate speech. All of it's allowed under the United States Constitution, which is our final hope. But what they're telling you is that dissenting in any way from the editorial positions of, say, the Washington Post or the Daily Beast or the Atlantic Magazine, disagreeing with those publications and the consensus they represent isn't simply immoral. No, it's worse than that. It's violence. It gets people killed. That's the stochastic terrorism. When you question, say, COVID protocols or drag queen story hour or the war against Russia, you are effectively smashing an 82-year-old man in the head with a hammer. They're making that argument.
So the purveyor of hate speech says that hate speech isn't a thing. The chief administrator stochastic terrorism is saying, well, that's stochastic. It's not a thing. I'm Tucker Carlson. Listen, absolutely without doubt, there are unhinged members among us in our society. Some will take, for instance, the man who was a Bernie Sanders supporter who shot up the baseball practice and almost killed Steve Scalise. Almost killed the man who said he's just like David Duke without all the baggage. Almost. To be sure, he was a Bernie Sanders supporter. But that is not the metric by which we measure these incidents. You have to look at the person for whom the adoration or the support is given. Look at Bernie Sanders. Is he a violent man? Does he talk about immigrants as dirty? Does he say that immigration makes our country poorer and dirtier? Does he talk about an invasion of brown people across our southern border? Does he inflame the passions that lead to violence? The answer is no. So you don't look at the individual per se, you look at the people who motivated their actions. There's a long list of attacks that were predicated by maniacs who were led there by conservative ideas and conspiracy theories, whether that be the Great Replacement theory or any number of COVID conspiracies. Racism, xenophobia, bigotry. Also, I do want to add that stochastic terrorism on this definition sheet, it's a middle school level word, you'll notice here. So, stochastic terrorism, it's made up. Moron. And here, I will show you just exactly what I'm talking about. Here's a mashup from this Twitter user, give her credit on the screen here, a beautiful illustration of exactly what we're talking about. Here are some of the motivations read by John Roberts from Fox News of the attacker on Paul Pelosi. His motivations, and then immediately juxtaposed with the coverage, the stochastic terrorism that is driving psychos to attack, driving unhinged, low information morons to attack the United States Capitol, to go on shooting sprees at synagogues and mosques. There is an origin point that we can look at. And oftentimes it is Tucker Carlson, the coward, the soft-skinned, smooth-brained haircut, who's free from violence himself. He's bunkered down. He's protected as he incites violence himself. Watch this mashup, going back and forth, explaining what the killer said, or the attempted killer, what his motivations were, juxtaposed against what he heard on Tucker Carlson.
Social media posts included transphobic images.
All these nations preparing for World War Trans.
Linked to websites claiming COVID vaccines were deadly.
Is it possible that the vaccine actually can hurt you, especially if you keep getting boosted? Can it weaken your immune system?
The death rates being promoted are whatever they want to be promoted, as the death rate one post said.
So is it possible that the CDC has been classifying those deaths from old age or other factors, as coronavirus deaths?
Also posted links to YouTube videos with titles like Democrat Farce Commission to Investigate January 6th.
It's a farce. It's a complete farce.
Global elites plan to take control of your money.
They're hiring another 87,000 armed IRS agents just to make sure that you obey. Got it? Got it? Is it clear?
So it looks like we've potentially have somebody here who embraces conspiracy theories.
So under the guise of, we're just asking questions, they're leading, again, stupid people to violence. He is steering them toward harming other human beings. Whether it be his anti-immigration rhetoric, his anti-black rhetoric, He is a white supremacist through and through. He hosts his white supremacy fireside chat on a nightly basis on a major cable network. And we're all supposed to ignore the fact that this is taking place. That these violent incidences that happen time after time after time after time after time are not in any way related to the rhetoric, the hatred, and the hate speech that he spews on a nightly basis. Gross. You are a coward, Tucker Carlson, a weakling, a mental and physical coward. What do you think out there? I'd love to know. You can call, leave me a brief voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me, daily@dollemore.com. It feels good to be back. I appreciate all your love and support while I was recovering from colon cancer surgery. Those of you who weren't in the comments saying, enough about the cancer. There's always an asshole or two. Am I right? Follow me on social media. I am back on TikTok, @Dollemore on TikTok, @Dollemore on Twitter, @Dollemore on Instagram. I'd love to see you there. And if I do something for you that you appreciate, if I bring value to your day or to your week, please consider supporting my work. Click the join button below this video. Become a channel member right here on YouTube, or you can go over to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. That is Patreon. That is not just for my twice weekly podcast co-hosted by the lovely, talented, and scholarly Brittany Page, who, by the way, now has a YouTube channel that you should go subscribe to. Link below. I love you guys. I appreciate you so much. Thanks for being so loyal, so dedicated, so passionate about making our country and our world a better place. I'll see you next time. Until I do, be genuine. Take care of one another.